Okay, welcome back. We're on page 316 doing this 3-column layout, and I'm kind of doing it in kind of step-by-step order. So the first thing we need to do is to get the structure so we have something to look at. So this is going to have a header across the top. It's going to have a nav on the left-hand side, and then something on the right-hand side, which we're going to call a side. It's kind of a weird term, but here you go anyway. Anyway, a side. And I'm going to say, this is a side. And if you're following along in the book, they also created some other divs in here with a class. Remember? Not an ID, but a class called news. And I'm going to say, this is... How about just news 1? I'll make it a little smaller. This is news 1. And then there was another one. Div, class, news. It's perfectly okay to have two things called news, right? Because classes are not unique. Cool. Now that I've got my top and my left and my right, I need the middle part. That would be main. And so this is main. Okay, cool. And we're almost done. In this case, what they decided to do was to put the footer not at the bottom, but put the footer like inside the main. Hey, it's their business. They can do what they want, right? So I'm going to put my footer inside the main. And so this is footer. All right. So that's the structure of this thing. The first thing I'm going to do is go up here and start putting some colors in, because right now, if I look at this, I'm going to go, well, okay, there it is. Wow, right? So I need to be able to see what the heck I'm doing. So I'm going to go up here and put this in here as an embedded. So I'm going to do style. And all I'm going to do is just put colors in. So let's see. Let's do let's start with body. So body. And then background color. I don't know what color we want. Something kind of light. I'll use aquamarine again. That's kind of cool. So just going down the list. That was body. I really don't need one for wrapper necessarily, but let's just start with header. So background color. And light blue. Okay, cool. And then after that is nav. Background color, light something, I don't know what, we'll get light, how about light green, cool. And after that is a side, background color is light coral. And after a side is main, background color, I don't know. We haven't done yellow yet, have we? Yellow, cool. Only if you spell it right. Okay, one more to go. Footer. And we'll do background color. How about light gray? Okay, now let's run this thing, and I should be able to see what the heck I'm talking about. So everything looks pretty decent. I've got this huge background color thing, and then I got these individual background colors. Now, the main one didn't do what it was supposed to do. The main one was supposed to be just like all these others. It's supposed to be like a block tag going all the way over here. We had this problem the last time. So I'm going to go here and tell it, here are all of the new HTML5 tags, and here's how to deal with them if your browser doesn't know how. Okay, so this, you could put this in every single one of your application where you're using the new HTML5 structures. Okay, so whenever I have an assignment and I tell you that your stuff has to work in every single browser, then you should be paying attention to this part, because this is what you have to do. So body is a legitimate tag, so I don't have to worry about that. But I do need to have something called header, nav, aside, main, and footer. So here we go. So header, space, comma, header, nav, aside, main, footer. Commas, if I left spaces in, that meant That would mean inside the header, inside nav, inside, well, that's not what comma means. Okay. So now I'm going to tell this thing display block. All right. So this is a cheat sheet. This basically says, look, if your browser is so stupid it can't figure this out, I'll give you some hints. All right. So now I'm going to run this one more time. And ta-da! Main has magically fixed itself. So now Internet Explorer. By the way, there's a story behind this. I'm not sure you're interested, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Here's the story, and I'm not sure I absolutely agree with it, but here's how it works. While this was in standard, before it became an honest-to-God real recommendation, the main tag was one of the last ones that was added, all right, before it became an honest-to-God approved recommendation. And so apparently the people who wrote Internet Explorer got like the draft and never bothered to fix it when the standard came out in 2014. Yeah. Like, dude, what are you waiting on? Okay. So, this fixes that problem. Hooray! All right. You guys remember how we make things move from left to right? We float them, don't we? So, I want to go to nav here. And using kind of sort of the examples they have in the book, I want to have this thing on the left and have it 150 pixels. Okay, so I'm going to go to nav here. So, how does this work? It's float left. And then I want to tell it the width. And in this case, 150 pixels. Okay, the aside, I want to float in the other direction. Okay. So I'm going to have it do float right. And in their example, yikes, I had to spell it right. In their example, they do have the width being 200. So that's what we'll do. Width 200 pixels. Okay, I'm not going to do anything else. Just, well, yeah, doggone it. I need to break so the thing that if I'm floating this to the left and floating that to the right, that's the thing that's going to be doing the floating. But I need to break the float on footer. So how do you do that? Clear. And I really want to clear both the left and the right, so I'm going to use both. Okay, so I'm just going to show you this to see what it looks like so far. And first of all, doesn't this look a little weird? I mean, it did what it was supposed to do. It did the floating. But the problem is that floating means float around. If I was to put more text in here, then it's not exactly going to do what I expect. So if I go here to main, where my stuff is, and so I do... Dang, I can't type today. Okay, so let's just run this. Okay, that is not exactly what I had in mind. What I expected is this column would continue on, and this column would continue on. So I need a way to tell main that he's not really as big as he thinks he is. That's what I need to do. Okay. So the way you do that is you go in here and you tell it how you want the margins to be. So inside main, I'm going to tell it I want to do a margin. So I could say margin right with so many and margin left, but I'm going to use that little clock thing. Remember how it starts at 0 and goes around? Okay. So I'm going to say margin. Yikes, got my caps lock on. Margin. And so the first one, remember the first at top starting at 0, I don't care about that. So clock. So that would the next one would be the one on the right. So I want like 205 pixels. Remember, there's no commas here. I think they use 10 in the book, so let me use 10 as well. Okay, the bottom. How much do I need for the bottom? I don't care. And then the one on the left would be like 160 pixels. Now, why did I add 10 to these? Well, because I wanted to have. Basically, I wanted to have like a built-in, what equivalent would be like a built-in spacing there. Remember how we have margin on the outside? Okay, padding on the inside. This is sort of like fake padding. So I've told background that it's a background. I told main that it has to have the confines of those sizes. So let's run this one more time. And ta-da! Now it looks like it's supposed to look. All the text stayed inside this area. And there's a little gap here. A 10 pixel gap on this side, a 10 pixel gap on that way. That way I don't have to deal with, you know, things like margin. I mean, you could make them exactly. I mean, you could mathematically come out exactly perfect. But then I'd have to go in here and add padding. Well, I mean, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But on the other hand, you can make the problem go away if you just put the margins in here with a little bit of padding built in. It's just saving you a little bit of time. Okay, this looks kind of sort of like the picture they have, kind of, sort of like. Now, I want to make a couple tweaks to this thing, and I'm going to go in and make this a fixed width page. So I need to go back up here where basically where the wrapper is, and add something that tells it that I want this thing to be a fixed width page. So I'm going to go here. Now, wrapper is an ID, so how do you do that? Okay, so it's wrapper. And then here I want to say things like, I want to set the width of this guy. And normally I'd use like 960, but since the screen here is already 1024, I'm going to make it 800 so you can actually see. Okay, so I'm going to say width is 800 pixels. And then I have to tell it what the margin on the, you know, how to scoot things over a little bit. So I'm going to do, this time I'm not going to do the composite thing. I'm actually going to say, you know, margin left. And here, automatic. And margin right, auto. And what that basically means is, if I put them on automatic, it basically says, dude, you figure it out, okay? I told you I wanted 800 in the middle, so you do the math, and you know, whatever that is, divide by 2, that one half goes over here and the other half goes over here. You do the math, because I don't care about math. All right, let's run this one more time. And ta-da! Now we have a centered page. Cool. Everything kind of works. If this nav structure was a little bigger, obviously it would be a little deeper. If this guy's a little deeper. So this is perfectly okay. I mean, it does not look like the example because they throw in a bunch of other junk that I'm not really all that interested in. So this is a good start at how to do a 3-column page. Now, I'm not going to go through and demo everything they did in the chapter because they're doing background colors and all those things. And quite frankly, I'm not interested in all that right now. So let's get back to the things that we are interested in. Well, first of all, let me go through the steps one more time just to make it easier. So after you've got the page put together and you're doing the CSS, here are like the 7 steps you need. All right. First step is make it compatible with other browsers by putting that goofy thing in. Then use the body element to set the background. Okay. Use a wrapper to set the width and to center the page. Use nav to make it go to the left and give it a width. Use the side to make it go to the other side and give it a width. Use main to set the margins. You're going to have to manually do the calculations for that. Then use a footer to clear, and then that's it. Those are the 7 steps. So yes, that's how this stuff works. Cool. Now on page 321, they go to great lengths of trying to tweak this thing. You know, adjusting the vertical white space in the header. Let's do this. I'm going to go to my header part and put in like an H1 tag. Okay, so, you know, H1s are kind of big, right? At least you'd think it is. Okay, so let's look at this thing, and you'll notice that it's not all that cool. I mean, you know, maybe I want this thing centered, and maybe I want to have a fixed height. Because see how this thing kind of spread out a little bit? Okay, so we're going to fix that, but we're going to fix it when we come back to the next video.